Hello again, this is the boy in his Bible, and we're on Psalm 72. And this is, again, it's the 20 verses of Psalm, but they are what I call compact verses. And sometimes a Psalm you think it's got a theme, and you realise it's got multiple themes. It's as if it's a bit like Proverbs. They said a few lines, then they move, then it's true. And that this Psalm is that kind of Psalm. It's actually called a Psalm of Solomon, as if it's coming from this collection of Solomon. I don't get the feeling it's a Solomon's words myself. Scholars might differ on that. If it is of Solomon, it's in his early days, when he had a great compassion for the weak and the feeble and the poor and the needy. That compassion became a political one when he wanted later on to be associated with the kings of the earth. And that became a sad period when he would marry this wife of this nation or that nation or the other nation and let them build their little temples in and near the palace in Jerusalem. And so heathenism came in through Solomon, and the trust in the one true God became weakened as a result of Solomon. Solomon was bad news, not good news. He was not the ultimate son that would bring blessing that David thought he would to all people. He became king at 17, and really before the age of 30, his life was over as far as the things of God was concerned. So if it was from Solomon, it is from a young Solomon. Talks about how all kings shall bow down before him and all nations shall serve him. And that's the way they used to talk to each other about themselves politically and other kings. But it does say some things that we should listen in this psalm. And as I said, I don't think it was written by Solomon, but it may have been written about Solomon. He shall spare the poor and the needy, and shall save the souls of the needy. He shall redeem their soul from deceit and violence, and precious shall be their blood in his sight. I want to take the last line and apply it to a much wider audience than the audience that would have sang this in those early days, 1,000 years before Christ. And precious shall be their blood in his sight. Ever since the blood of Abel, when the earth was shouting out loud for vengeance because of Cain, we have an understanding of blood in the Bible. And we know that the blood of bulls and of goats could not clean the conscience, but their blood did speak. It was living blood that could atone, and sin was so terrible that living blood of animals. There are far too many children in the world suffering, needy, far too many. And we in the rich and the wealthy nations of the world, we need to be and to have a greater concern for us. If there was one persuasion I could give to leaders of churches, it would be to increase substantially your budget for the weak and the feeble, for the poor, to let the blood of people be precious in your sight. People in places where there's starvation, people in places where there's persecution, people in places where there's war, people in places where there's earthquakes or periods of famine, plagues, where the locusts are taken over. And that's still happening today. If only the Christian church could wake up to the fact that when they have their collections, that's an opportunity for substantial part of the collection. And note the word I put, substantial part. Not a remnant here and a remnant there, a little bit here and a little bit there. That we would know what it means to give and constantly give abundantly. I have a small trust. It's called Bible Trust. Not too difficult to find. And we don't make any appeals for money at all. But the little bit of money that we get, most of it, I'm thrilled. It goes to Africa and other areas in the world where we may be able to make a contribution. Thrilled that it goes there. Occasionally I get a church or an organization and they want help for something, and I look at it and I feel to myself, well, I think you could find the money yourself for yourself. It's because you can always find money when you want to spend it on yourselves. But if you want to spend it and there's no return, what do you do then? Oh, we have to be wise and good stewards and all those kinds of things, which I do accept very much. We have to be careful who we work with and how we work. And we definitely don't want to create the idea that the world is in two halves. The Western half that is wealthy is there to look after the poor needs of the other side. As they say, dig a well is much water than giving them a bucket of water. But we should have a concern. So let me read this verse again as your verse for today. Precious shall be their blood in his sight. Unusual verse, yes, but one that we should take heed to. See you soon, I hope. Psalm 72.